This is going to be a short video on how to do limiting reactant with mass. You should have looked at the last one before this, which was limiting reactant with moles. So just as last time, we need a balanced equation. The one I'm going to use is the same one as what we used in the previous video. And in this case, if we're going to do limiting reactant, the question might be something like the following. We would have 10.0 grams of N2 reacting with 2.00 grams of H2, and we would just want to clear up that decimal point right there, right? And we would have something like the question of how many grams of NH3 are going to be produced. And again, this is what we refer to as the theoretical yield. Okay, in order to do this question, what we need to find out first are the molar masses. So remember there was a video on this earlier, and you do this based on the periodic table. So molar masses are, for each respective compound that we have, or substance that we have here, 28.02 grams for nitrogen, 2.02 grams for hydrogen, and 17.04 grams for nitrogen. Now, the last video I pointed out that there's a nice little shortcut where you can divide things by the coefficient in order to find the limiting reactant. However, when you're dealing with grams, you can't just take the 10 grams of N2 and divide by the coefficient of 1, right? And it's because, that coefficient is for nitrogen 1, is because that only works when you are in moles. So of course what we're going to do here is convert the 10 grams into moles by dividing by the appropriate molar mass, and then go ahead and divide by 1. Over here we're going to divide the 2.00 grams of H2 by its molar mass, 2.02, and then divide that by the coefficient of 3. Okay, if we do that, we end up with 0.357, and we end up with 0.330. So as I pointed out last time, the lower of the two is always going to be the limiting reactant, and so therefore in this case the limiting reactant is H2. Therefore, in order for me to find the theoretical yield, that is to say the grams of NH3, I am going to start with the limiting reactant, which is 2.00 grams of H2. I'm going to multiply by 1 over its molar mass, 1 mole over 2.02 grams of H2. I'm going to multiply by the coefficient ratio, and since I'm finding NH3, my NH3 is my unknown, so that's 2 moles of NH3 over 3 moles of H2. I'll go ahead and label those as H2 and NH3. And then last but not least, I'm going to multiply by the molar mass of the unknown, 17.04 grams of NH3 over 1 mole of NH3. Okay, so if I look at how the units cancel, grams of H2 cancels with grams of H2, moles of H2, sorry, I forgot to label that, cancels with moles of H2, and moles of NH3 cancels with moles of NH3. My final overall answer here is 11.2 grams of NH3, which is what we refer to as the theoretical yield. Okay, hope that makes sense there. Thanks.